Action and adventure TV shows channel from Comedy MX spotlights Tarzan, Rin Tin Tin, Zorro, complete Saturday matinee serials Captain Zero, Annie Oakley, The Big Picture, Korea and Vietnam Wars, and more. The thrills and chills never stop at Comedy MX. So return with us now to those golden days of yesteryear.
And now stand by for adventure.
3, 2, 1.
In the exciting story of the Evil Eye. The Wonder Rocket Travel Lab slows to a gentle stop. Radar scope. For the first time, Squeak and Scratch peer into the vast expanse of Galaxy 9. Here among colorful planets and glittering stars lies the greatest terror of the space lanes, the deadly sea of liquid air. Only recently, 6 Martian cruisers plunged into this watery grave. But now Colonel Bleep has arrived to chart this deadly trap for a space map of the universe. With the exact location known to space pilots, the sea of liquid air will never again be a menace to interplanetary space travel. Down radar scope. Proceed on course. Unknown to Bleep, however, this swirling sea holds even greater dangers. For this is the secret lair of Black Patch and his band of cutthroat buccaneers. At this very moment, the villain's powerful space galleon plows through heavy waves, then stops as the evil captain scans the horizon in search of plunder. Shiver me timbers, there she lies, the Travelab rocket, pride of the skies. Load the torpedoes and batten the hatch. We'll make her a coffin for Bleep, Squeak, and Scratch. Through his giant periscope, the wicked pirate anxiously waits as the unsuspecting colonel guides the traveling laboratory into a deadly ambush. Already, Squeak and Scratch are busy at the charting instruments. Through the Futomic survey scope, the caveman sights the position of a planet to the left of the ocean. Mark 1 planet to the left. Check. Then across to the other side. Mark 1 star to the right. Check. And now within the sea itself. Mark 1 blinking eye dead ahead. Check. Blinking eye? Bleep takes over to see for himself. But there's nothing there at all. Scratch checks again. And there it is. A blinking eye as plain as can be. But Bleep and Squeak are sure Scratch is just seeing things. So the caveman is relieved of duty and sent to his quarters to rest. But he cannot rest. For suddenly, his nose begins to twitch. And that's a sure sign of trouble. Terrible trouble. But what? And where? The eye, of course. That mysterious blinking eye. There's no time to lose. No time to explain to Bleep and Squeak. The caveman must investigate alone. Quickly, he leaps aboard his space scooter and opens the launching tube hatch. But look, it's too late. Torpedo alert! Torpedo alert! Black Patch has struck. Bleep leaps to the controls, but the Travelab is too big to escape. The torpedo zeroes in for the kill. But hold on! Scratch has spotted the torpedo! He's diving straight into the path of the missile! He's flipped it over! It's heading back! Bullseye! Yes, thanks to Scratch, the travel lab is saved. And now Bleep and Squeak know there really is a blinking eye. Or at least there was.
And now, stand by for adventure.
3, 2, 1.
In the exciting story of Exposed.
It is early morning on Colonel Bleep's 00 Island headquarters. And for the third time this week, space deputies Squeak and Scratch are scheduled for a practice space scooter flight to the moon and back.
Space cadets, fall in. Space cadets, report.
Quickly, the caveman and the puppet report their scooters have been double-checked, their flight instructions carefully read, and preparations made for all possible emergencies. But no one has noticed that during Bleep's pre-flight inspection quiz, little Squeak had secretly kept his fingers carefully crossed. Since he had safely completed this same practice flight twice before, the puppet hadn't bothered to double-check his scooter, study his flight instructions, or even prepare for emergencies. Worse, the cocky Squeak had laughed to himself as he watched Scratch follow Bleep's flight rules to the letter. There goes the signal.
3, 2, 1. Scramble.
They're off. Already, Squeak is in for trouble, for by neglecting to double-check his scooter, he failed to notice his fuel tank is nearly empty. Luckily, however, he is able to land and quickly refuel without being seen by Colonel Bleep. By this time, Scratch was well on his way. He had studied his flight instructions and was able to avoid a heavy rain cloud which loomed directly on his course. The caveman obeyed every flying rule of outer space. Stopped at all stop signs. Waited at all space train crossings. And of course, followed all detour instructions, just as a good space deputy should. Meanwhile, little Squeak, already behind schedule, is quickly delayed again. Having failed to study his flight instructions, he is unable to avoid the heavy rain cloud. To make matters worse, his wipers bogged down from the dirt on his unpolished windshield. When, at last, the puppet recovers his bearings, good old Scratch is rounding the moon and heading back home. In a desperate effort to make up lost time, Squeak streaks for a shortcut, completely ignoring the sign which reads, "Dangerous passage, keep out." Too late, the puppet learns his mistake, for the cave-in traps him deep inside. At 00 Island, Scratch skids to a halt to wait for his friend. As time passes, the puppet still does not arrive, and so Scratch retraces his course and finally spots the familiar cowboy hat of the little puppet. As he is fully prepared for all emergencies, the caveman is able to free his helpless companion and save him from a terrible fate. And so, thanks to good old Scratch, the careless puppet arrives at last, safe and sound, back on 00 Island. With a sigh of relief, Squeak discovers Colonel Bleep is still unaware of his carelessness. But seconds later, little Squeak receives the shock of his life, for Bleep is unveiling his very latest invention, a Futomic photo memorizer. With this clever device attached to the powerful radar scanner, the spaceman is able to make a motion picture record of the morning training flights. The puppet's heart is in his mouth as he watches Bleep's movie reveal each step of Scratch's flight to the moon and back. Shaking with fear, Squeak listens as Bleep congratulates the caveman on his excellent flying. Then the colonel turns to Squeak, and the puppet faints dead away, for he knows the next movie will expose his carelessness forever. But luck was still with the puppet, for Bleep had only taken pictures of Scratch's flight. Tomorrow was the day when Squeak's test would be photographed. And you can just bet that tomorrow will be different, for the puppet has learned his lesson.